Have you been eating soup for breakfast without knowing it? Let's find out. This is A Hot Dog is a Sandwich.
Ketchup is a smoothie.
Yeah, I put ice in my cereal, so what?
That makes no sense.
A hot dog is a sandwich.
A hot dog is a sandwich.
Welcome to our brand new podcast, A Hot Dog is a Sandwich, where we take on the internet's biggest food debates. I'm your host, Josh Scherer, and I once spilled a bowl of cereal on my naked lap.
And I'm your host, Nicole Zade, and I think Josh is my best friend.
Oh my God. You're top 8 for me. If we had MySpace, you'd be on my top 8.
Yeah, I just think I spend so much time with you. Like, I think you're one of my friends. Like, it's cool that you're like, I'm your subordinate, but like, you're my friend.
Yeah, that's a recipe for... Okay, so today we're taking on the question, is cereal soup? Nicole,
why?
What are your thoughts?
Why?
This is one of the biggest questions. It's always mentioned on Twitter, on whatever, and people always explode over it.
No, for sure.
And there's a very easy answer that a lot of people seem to take, but I want to hear your thoughts on it first.
So, it's no for me, and... It's just no. Do you want me to tell you why it's no? Or do you want to tell me, you know what? Can you tell me why you think whatever you think first?
Okay, so, God, I don't even like that I'm saying this, but I'm taking this position, and I do believe it, because I've thought about it, and I've really done a lot of soul searching. I believe that cereal is soup. I believe there's no way around it. Mm-hmm. It is a food eaten out of a bowl with a spoon, meant to be consumed as a meal. I believe that cereal is soup. The dish cereal. Because you could say cereal is just, if you're eating Lucky Charms, if you're eating Lucky Charms by the handful, you could say like you're eating cereal. Yeah. But I think when you say like...
Cereal the dish.
Cereal the dish.
Yeah.
Fully with milk or some sort of milk substitute. I believe it's a soup. It has to be to me. It has the same formula as a soup. You eat it in the same manner. I think it's soup.
I think it's just such an iconic food on its own that lumping it in with soup defeats the beauty of cereal, in my opinion. Like a bowl of Lucky Charms or my favorite cereal, Grape Nuts, is just iconic. Like, you're eating cereal. To call it soup is blasphemy, in my opinion, because everyone has an archetype of soup. If all of us were to close your eyes, if you were to close your eyes and you were to envision a bowl of soup, what would be inside of it? If you tell me frosted mini wheats and whole milk are in that bowl, you're lying to yourself.
Picturing a beautiful broth with little chunks in it of vegetables, and then there's a tiger. And the tiger is walking behind the bowl of soup and he goes, "They're great," because it's a bowl of Frosted Flakes, because I am picturing cereal.
I think cereal on its own is its own dish. I think it demands the respect of being its own iconic meal. I can call cereal a meal, sure. I can eat it with a spoon, sure, but I don't think it's soup.
But why not? I mean, really break this down, because what are the components of soup, right? That's what we first have to discuss.
I think we have the definition right here of what soup is.
Is there like a Merriam-Webster? Has the dictionary decided?
There's actually 2 definitions of soup. There's Webster's definition and the Oxford definition.
Give me both.
Webster says, a liquid food, especially with a meat, fish, or vegetable stock as a base and often containing pieces of solid food. That's Webster's.
Okay, so let's break that down. Okay. So they say often with a meat, vegetable, or fish stock or whatever.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that it necessarily has to include one of those. So we could consider milk to be the broth. Also, I would argue that milk is essentially stock made from the teats of a cow.
I don't think milk
could be stock.
I don't think meat constitutes stock. I think if we took the teats and we stewed the teats, that would be stock. That would be utter stock.
Don't put that into the universe, because we're going to have to do that. Someone from up top's going to be like, guys, we need to find cow udders.
That would be cow udder stock. I think the liquid that it secretes is milk, and it should be milk and called milk, not broth.
Fair. I'll concede that point.
Okay, and the Oxford definition says, a liquid food made by boiling meat, vegetables, etc. in water, often eaten as the first course of a meal. What do you have to say about that?
The first course of breakfast is always cereal for me. It's part of a balanced breakfast, Nicole. It's not the entire balanced breakfast. Anytime they show the cereal commercials, right, it's always next to like toast, orange juice, eggs, because I don't think legally they can call a balanced breakfast just a bowl of cereal on account of it's just 100% sugar and corn.
Is that what you eat for breakfast? Do you course out your breakfasts?
Sometimes. You see me in here. Well, it's mostly just me grazing for like hours and hours at a time.
Yeah, that's different.
But okay, so to visit your point about it being iconic enough to be its own dish.
Yeah.
A lot of people also have the question, is chili soup? So chili is like very iconically its own dish. And also, whenever I go to a restaurant and they're like, soup of the day, and they're like, our soup today is chili, I'm just like, well, that should be its own menu item. I don't consider that a soup of the day in the same sense that I still do, consider chili to be a soup. In the sense that like it's made with a stock,
Okay.
it's got bits of stuff in it. You eat it with a spoon out of a bowl. But that said, if I went to a restaurant and they said the soup of the day is chili, I would feel just as misled if the soup of the day was a bowl of Frosted Flakes.
No, you wouldn't. You're just lying to lie. No, that's okay. No, I don't agree with that at all. If you went to a restaurant and someone gave you a bowl of chili versus a bowl of cereal with milk, and they're like, which one of these are soup? Would you honestly put your hand over the cereal and say this is soup, or would you put your?
I would honestly put my hand over both and say these are both soup. But I do agree that chili is
Didn't
a
you
more
say that
soup-like
chili-
soup.
But didn't you say chili is less of a soup than?
I think chili is less of a soup than say chicken noodle, beef and barley.
No. Well, also, there's different kinds of chili. There's the chili you put on hot dogs. I'm not about to pour myself a bowl of that and go to town on it. I'm not.
I call it hot dog slop
Yeah,
chili,
Josh
and it's
calls
my
it-
favorite kind of chili.
I don't think I'm gonna do that. But if there's like an artisanal chili with like beans in it, maybe some sour cream on the top, yeah, I'll eat that joyfully and I'll call it soup. But I will not pour myself a bowl of Frosted Flakes, put some oat milk on there, and call it soup. Now talk to me. I know you're gonna bring up the gazpacho because that's just who you are as a person. So
Yeah, we
we'll
call it the
talk about
gazpacho complex.
Yeah, I understand.
Because a lot of people, they think soup is temperature dependent, and they'll say,
No.
well, cereal is cold. One, I pour milk over Honey Bunches of Oats and stick it in the microwave for 35 seconds. I think it's very delicious.
Yeah, that's like porridge, man.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. Like cereal, a lot of people consider oatmeal to be like a hot cereal. And then a lot of people could ask, well, is oatmeal then soup?
Isn't oatmeal labeled hot cereal?
Technically. But the term cereal, like in its scientific definition, because so many of these arguments, they come down to there's a scientific definition of a thing,
Yeah.
and then there's like a colloquial functional
I
definition.
feel like that's kind of where this conversation always steers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So like rice technically is called a cereal grain. But if you say like I'm eating a bowl of cereal and someone give you a bowl of steamed rice, you wouldn't think that that is technically cereal.
Yeah, because cereal is a meal.
So technically, like oatmeal is cereal, but when you prepare oatmeal, right? I think it's not suspended chunks of food in liquid. It all comes together in a paste, which I would call a porridge.
Yeah.
Being entirely separate from both cereal
Okay.
and soup. I think soup, which is why I believe cereal is one, needs to have a certain flow rate to it. I think if we got like a physicist in here, they could give us a bare minimum standard for what constitutes the flow rate of a soup. Because if you take something like a bisque, right? If you reduce a bisque down enough, I believe it no longer becomes a soup and it becomes a sauce or a gravy.
Sure.
Right? So there's some sort of flow rate here. And I believe cereal will always fall in that flow rate depending on how much milk you've poured in there.
Do we have a physicist budget? Is it in the budget?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like $60 though, so we got like a real budget Craigslist physicist to come in
Okay,
here.
I'm down.
Like someone who was like ousted by the physics community because he was a flat earther.
I'm not
I'll take a
opposed to
flat Earth
that.
physicist in here to talk about cereal flow rates any
Yeah,
day.
man, me too. I'm down. I think that's a brilliant idea. But the act of reducing it, every person has a preference. I feel their milk to cereal ratio. Some people like a really, really thin, like I just like one piece of cereal to like a whole spoonful of milk, and some people like a lot of cereal in their milk. So I don't necessarily agree with you on that because it's all relative when it comes to pouring yourself a bowl of cereal.
So you're saying one person's definition of a bowl of cereal, if it doesn't have enough milk, wouldn't come up to that level of flow rate.
Yeah, I think
If
you're
that makes sense.
flowing.
But it still would be a bowl of cereal.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
That's an interesting point.
100%.
In the same way that if you reduce a bisque down, it becomes a sauce. If you decrease the amount of milk enough. Okay, but the way I'm thinking, because a lot of people, you're pouring the cereal into the bowl and then you're adding milk on top of that. One, you always pour the cereal first. You
Yes,
never pour the milk
always.
first.
No. Yes, always.
But dude, there's a lot of soups at restaurants, fancy restaurants. You and I are both fancy people. We have very fancy tastes.
Yes.
There's a lot of fancy restaurants that you get a soup and they'll put the chunks in the bowl and then a waiter comes around with like the little carafe or whatever, little gravy boat type of thing, and they pour the broth in.
a green pea stew.
I have gotten some of these fancy soups and they like pour in a quarter inch of broth or whatever the thing is.
That's because of small
Like-
portions, man.
No, I know, but it like doesn't eat like a soup at that point. It eats like a sauce. So I'd argue that cereal is more of a soup than some of these things that people are calling soups out here in the fine dining industry. That's what I believe.
I think
believe
they're soups. I just think I think their texture is very, very luxurious, like a sauce.
See-
So I feel like that's where you're going with it.
I believe the definition of soup is so broad because think about the world of soups, right? Gazpacho, just like cold blended vegetables,
Delicious.
often served in a cup. You don't even eat it with a spoon
Yeah,
most of the time.
very
It's just
true.
a liquid food meant to be consumed. I think a majority of times with a spoon.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Right? And so you have, say, like a chowder, which is just a milk-based soup. Right?
Based. It's not just
Milk-based.
milk. It's milk based.
I would argue that cereal is just milk-based because once you
No,
combine the
it's
cereal,
just milk, man.
once you combine the cereal, you get the cornflake residue. Sorry, I burped. I drink a lot of Diet Coke. I drink a lot of Diet Coke throughout the day. It really like works me up into a fervor, you know, all the aspartame and caffeine in there.
Yeah, I don't know how your blood is pumping through your veins right now. I don't know how it happens.
No, like I would argue that stock is just bone-based water.
Yes. Tell me some facts about soup, Josh.
What do we got? Okay, this is actually interesting.
Soup facts.
In French cooking, soups are classified into two groups, clear and thick. I think that's important. But they're both soups. Because like you said, soup, we have to break this down into archetypes. So you have something like a chicken noodle is more archetypally soup
Sure.
than cereal, which is obviously
well, that's
still a
just
soup.
looking it through an American lens.
Yeah. That's another thing. Like if we go to Japan, something like ramen. Like do you consider that soup even though like
Oh
the
my gosh,
noodles are the star of it?
Absolutely. It's just a noodle. It's a soup with noodles.
The
The broth is the star. Let's be real here.
Fair. We actually did an episode here that was really interesting the way that other people view different foods and definitions. It was International Noodle Taste Test.
Oh.
And, we did pasta dishes from Nigeria and all around the world.
I remember that episode.
Yeah, and there were a bunch of people that commented like, those aren't noodles, there's no broth. And I was like,
so
what?
the definition of noodles is
Yeah.
different per place.
Yeah. And
that
so
what you're saying?
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
to me, you look at something like soup, which every culture, eats
Yeah.
around the world.
Sure.
To me, the definition is so broad that I think you have to take it down to its complete base level
Mm-hmm.
of a liquid-based food that you eat with a spoon or just drink directly from the cup. I think that's all it is. So if you're like, is a smoothie, a smoothie gets a little bit melty and it can flow in your mouth, is that a soup? Yeah. That's a fruit bisque. That's all you're eating. Wake up. You go to Jamba Juice, you're getting a raspberry razzmatazz. That ain't no smoothie. That is a raspberry bisque. It is a semi-Fredo raspberry bisque.
Josh,
And I'm standing by that.
you and I both know that's just a sad smoothie that you will still drink even if it's 10 o'clock at night.
I'm down with the
No,
Jamba.
man, I'm sorry. I don't agree with you. I think the line of sweet and savory is also something that it sometimes walks on because Webster and Oxford says that it's meat or vegetable or poultry, right? They never mention anything about like the sweetness of soup or the savoriness of soup. I know in Poland they have the the Polish fruit soup?
Yeah,
that
fruit
we
soup.
did. Yeah. Sure, that's soup, but when you make it, it's pretty much like a custardy dessert sauce. So it's not really a soup.
But it's not a
But
salsa
it's
because
called a soup.
But we talked about if you reduce a bisque down long enough, it just becomes a sauce.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I just feel like the line of sweet and savory really, if they made more savory cereals, like if they made honey bunches of chicken,
Well, let's talk hypotheticals though.
okay, if someone made, cornflakes this time with beef. Cornflakes with
Hypothetically
beef.
though, for real, if we had beef flakes, which we could make because we made avocado toast crunch, right?
Yes, we did.
That was savory. We put crushed red pepper on it and lemon juice and black pepper and salt.
We did.
So if we take that avocado toast crunch and then we pour milk on it, are we eating soup at that point?
I don't know.
I know.
Are we?
I don't know.
Am I?
Conversely, are there sweet soups out there? Because that seems to be the line that you're drawing.
Yeah, I feel like
Sweet and savory.
That's the line that I'm kind of like stuck on. Like my cereals, well, no, most of the time the cereals I eat aren't sweet. They're just like Weetabix or grape nuts. I
Yeah.
know it's like I'm a geriatric woman, but those are my favorite kinds of cereals just because they have like a tinge of sweetness, so I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel like I'm eating sugar in the morning. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I feel like you're just rocking my world here, man, with the avocado toast crunch and the alternate universe snacks taste test.
Think about beef flakes. I mean, honestly, we could take chicken and we could freeze dry chicken and then we could pulverize it, mix that with like the tiniest bit of flour or even not, some sort of other binder, and then we could create little crunchy aerated chicken nuggets, put that in a bowl, pour milk on it, and eat it. Do you think that would be
Josh.
cereal or soup?
I need to try it.
Did you order the code red?
I don't know. I don't know, man. You're rocking my brain right now. I don't know. Frick. Maybe,
What
Josh.
separates it?
Huh?
And even, I mean, say you put that bowl in the microwave, and then
Oh,
you're
man.
essentially creating chicken stock out of that milk, but it's still the same exact food that went into that microwave.
Oh my god.
You know, because we've agreed there can be cold soups, gazpacho, you know? So, like, what if, you know, you microwave it, you infuse some of that chicken in there, you let it cool down. Are we eating cereal or soup?
I don't know. Maybe
Nicole, you don't
maybe
have-
cereal is soup.
You don't have to choose.
Have you
Embrace
converted
it.
me?
Embrace the fact that cereal is soup. It's a beautiful world in here. Nicole, the water is so warm. There's no rules in any food once you agree that cereal is soup.
I was so sure. I'm like, no, it's not. But when you break it down like this and you talk about hypotheticals, that's wild. I think. Should I say it? Should I
Say
say
it.
the words that are on the tip of my tongue?
Say it.
Okay, I think cereal soup.
Cereal is soup. We've decided. It's official. Again, like,
I feel dirty saying that. I hope you know that.
you have to jump into the world of hypotheticals.
It feels wrong. It feels impure. But I think the way that it's been broken down, if you remove the iconicism of cereal, I think in a world, if you do it properly, it could be soup.
Yeah. That's all I ask. That's all I ask. I look forward
I
to
hate when you do this to me.
coming to your wedding and eating freeze-dried chicken cereal soup.
Sweetie, my wedding's not going to have that kind of stuff. You and I both know that.
Another thing with dictionary definitions. Why
Yeah.
I consider the internet to be my ultimate sources of
Same.
information now. I'm just saying, like, all the pictures that you've seen of the Earth, those aren't actual photographs. Those are artist renderings. They're paintings.
Are you a flat earther?
What?
Like the physicist you
I'm
went
not.
to hire?
I'm like flat Earth curious.
Oh my gosh.
You know?
Read
Like, I'm
what's on
not.
the card.
Okay, but no. The thing about dictionary definitions is that they're always changing. Language evolves.
Sure.
over time.
Understandable. Yeah.
You know, so the fact that they consider soup to be often with meat and something, they even left room in there for the definition to change by using
There's
the word
et cetera.
often.
And there's the word et cetera, too.
Et cetera. They're being
Yeah.
intentionally vague because they don't know the word literally. Right? They've changed the definition of that to include the hyperbolic definition.
Yeah.
Because so many times you'll get the keyboard warriors out there when someone's like, oh my God, I'm literally dying. And like, if you were literally dying, then you wouldn't be able to. Blah.
Yeah.
But no, like, we can now use the word literally to be hyperbole, to be an exaggeration. And the dictionary supports that usage because so many people did it.
I have one point.
Go ahead.
Can I say my point?
I would love for you to say your point.
Okay. We're at a wedding.
Yeah.
Wedding. It's a friend of ours. We're sitting down the first course.
Trevor's the only mutual friend that we share.
Oh yeah, that's true. No, yeah, is it? Okay, Trevor's getting married. We're all invited. And it says first course, soup du jour. And they put frosted flakes in front of you. Are you going to be okay with that? Are you okay
No.
with that? Do you think there will be an uproar from the guests or confusion or some sort of mutiny when that happens? Or do you think people are just going to, chill, I'm going to eat this bowl of cereal before I go dance the electric slide because that's what white people listen to at weddings? Is that what's going to happen? I don't know.
One, I would love to be at a wedding with a mutiny where people rise up and like storm the catering kitchen.
This isn't cereal.
There's like, this butternut squash ravioli is overspiced. My brother's wedding, it was very disappointing for me. But anyways, no, of course I would be angry if they served me a bowl of Frosted Flakes. But that's not because it's not soup. That's because it's, not high class or wedding. If they served you a bowl of Progresso chicken noodle soup, I'd also be mad.
But what if it was really pretty?
Well, what if it was really pretty cereal?
What's really pretty cereal?
What if the chef, it doesn't
Made their
exist.
own cereal?
That's the thing. We need to change the world of cereal.
What if they made their own cereal?
What if they made their own like awesome cereal and then came out with like a beautiful rose hip infused milk?
Does anyone make their own cereal? But like granola, but like, whatever, granola.
There's a lot of Indian snacks. So my best friend Deep,
Mm-hmm.
his mom at his house would like make her own. They look exactly like cereal. It's used in
Wow.
a lot of puris, like bel puri is
Sure.
the thing. If you ever had it,
No.
it's literally just a bunch of like little mini cereal bites
Oh,
that you
cool.
pour different chutneys on and herbs and onions and there's mango and stuff.
Sure.
And then you eat it and it's like this cold, but it looks exactly like American breakfast cereal. But there's a lot of masala in it and all that.
Mm-hmm. Like chopped masala.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and so she would like make her own essentially cereal.
How cool.
Yeah. And then because I would always look at it in their pantry and be like, that's cornflakes. And like, no, that's like it's like a chot.
Yeah.
Which is like an
Chop means
Indian snack.
Yeah. That's wild.
And so like we just need to bring that, to
I guess we do.
America and start making our own fancy cereals. Because imagine if you were at that wedding and there was some like really awesome, beautiful cereal, sweet or savory, that they like had in the bottom of the bowl, and you got little like borage flowers around it, and they come pour this beautiful, elegant rose broth.
Borage.
Borage.
I just say borage.
porridge.
Nobody
You know what I'm
knows
saying?
what borage is.
The world of fancy cereals is out there
Yeah.
that can be served as elegant soups.
I think we need to just I think we need to get into the business of savory soups. I think we got to make beef flakes.
Savory cereals?
Yeah, savory
You're already
cereals.
confusing cereal
Sorry.
and soup. That means
See,
I've done my
that's-
job.
Yep, you've pretty much brainwashed me. Sounds like a regular day at the office.
Brainwashing is such a negative term. I consider it like, I don't know, like you just did a little bit of light brain laundry.
Oh my gosh.
You know, just like, put a little fabric softener in there.
I just think it's so interesting because in America we don't eat savory cereals at all.
No.
Not even a little bit. So I think if we were able to capitalize on that and market it in the right way and be like, have soup for breakfast,
Yeah.
that could work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Soup is eaten for breakfast all around the world. Like pho is a huge breakfast food.
Yeah, but
in
who
Vietnam.
eats like cold beef soup?
Oh my God. Mul namyang, the Korean dish.
So sorry.
It is literally cold beef soup with ice chips floating in the broth.
Like for breakfast?
I don't know if it's for breakfast. I think it's supposed to be like on a hot day. It kind of cools you down. It's these buckwheat noodles. It's incredible.
Oh, I think I've had that at the Korean spa.
Yes.
Actually.
I have to after the sauna.
Wait. Yeah, I've totally had that at the spa.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm saying once you expand your mind outside the fact that like
But with milk though, or oat milk, almond milk, water. What is cereal with water?
I think you can do cereal with water.
Ugh.
Why not?
No.
You can do anything. There's no rules anymore.
I guess
now they've gone
not.
this far.
I guess there's
We
no
need to
rule anymore.
make our own fancy savory cereal company because
Mythical
then
Kitchen.
it's healthy for
Yeah.
kids. Kids love beef. You know, you
Kids
don't want to
eat
feed them
beef.
sugar.
Yeah, I'm down. I think this is a possibility. The world is beautiful. The water is warm. Is that what you said?
The water's warm
The
in here.
water is warm. This is awesome. Okay, I'm down to have some soup / cereal.
Go to mythical.com to pick up your box of Mythical beef flakes, now available in children's size.
Imagine if we made like little boxes. You know those little boxes that you get of soup. I mean, of why do I keep saying soup is cereal? Oh my god! You know those little boxes of like Frosted Flakes you get?
Yeah, the like travel size.
Yeah,
travel
imagine if we
size.
made like little travel-sized ones.
I'm into it.
This is going to be an episode.
What else do we got? The cereal industry uses 816 million pounds of sugar per year. Not anymore. Not with beef flakes. There's going to be 0 grams of sugar and 900 million grams of beef up in those flakes.
Pork flakes.
That'd be cheaper.
Chicken flakes. Wow, the world, so beautiful, so expansive. Josh, read some cereal facts or some definitions.
Okay. Webster's definition of cereal already established the fact that we don't trust the dictionary and we don't trust the astronauts because they've not been up there. A plant such as a grass yielding starchy grain suitable for food. So that's where we come into like cereal grains like rice
Yeah.
and wheat and all that.
Yeah.
2, the definition we're talking about, a prepared foodstuff of grain such as oatmeal or cornflakes. But which is funny because they say oatmeal, but they don't consider the term cereal to be the dish. Mm-hmm. Which again,
We're seeing it as the dish though.
right?
Yeah.
I think it
Yeah,
has
of
to be.
course.
Like you
Yeah.
say, I ate cereal for breakfast. People are assuming it's milk because to me the milk is what makes it a meal.
I agree.
In a way.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
Not just eating handfuls of raw cereal. I knew a bodybuilder one time that before one of his competitions, the way he would look really like swollen and stuff is he would eat handfuls of oatmeal before his competitions.
That's hot. That's hot. I love that. That's what I do before we shoot any episode.
No, you don't.
Do you remember when I went through a Fruity Pebble phase?
I wasn't here for your fruity pebbles.
My soup in the morning phase where I'd eat a bowl of Fruity Pebbles?
I wasn't here for that.
That makes sense.
Maybe it was another.
No, it's great. You get the simple carbs and it gives you a pump. Okay, here's another thing. Let's flip the script on this a little bit. Say you took Doritos and just like crushed them up. Essentially would look like Dorito Krispies, you know, little snap, crackle, pop action. And you poured like, I don't know, a chowder broth over it. Not even a chowder broth, just like, I don't know, a little milk and salt. Is that cereal? Can we take like soup definitions and turn that back into cereal? Because we've already established all
I feel
cereals
like
are
I can do
soups.
anything now with
Yeah.
this conversation. I feel like there is no limits.
Why not?
That sounds good.
That sounds really good.
Sounds
That's
really,
essentially
really
savory cereal. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like you take yogurt, and this is the Nicole snack special, and I love it so much. She takes a bowl of Greek yogurt and she'll like smear it around the sides of the bowl, and then she'll take a bunch of potato chips and throw it on there. What else goes on there? Like paprika?
Yeah, I
or-
put paprika, garlic powder, salt, pepper, whatever I have in the pantry, TBH, and I just kind of mash it together. And it's called chips o must, which means yogurt and chips in Farsi. And it's the best snack in the freaking universe, man. It's like eating, it's like cereal.
It's cereal.
It's cereal, but it's not soup, Josh. That's not soup.
I don't think that's cereal though because it's not liquid. So I think if you thinned out that yogurt enough, I think it would both be cereal
Sometimes
and
I thin
soup.
out my yogurt. Sometimes I thin out my yogurt. Sometimes I use the Bulgarian. Do you know that Bulgarian mountain yogurt that's
Yeah,
super
dude.
thin and tangy? Sometimes I use that when I don't have Greek yogurt. Yeah,
Bulgarian mountain yogurt is soup.
it's good for you.
That should have been this podcast. Is
That-
Bulgarian mountain yogurt soup?
The probiotics in that alone will just clean you out. It's so good for you.
I was at a farmer's market and they were selling beet kvass. Do you know kvass?
Yeah, it's like fermented. Oh, isn't that made from brown bread or something?
Yeah, it's like a Russian peasant drink that's made with
Yeah.
brown bread and it's fermented. It's like a
Sure.
little bit alcoholic.
Yeah.
But they're advertising beet kvass, and I'm like the only person who'd be like, "Oh my god, they're making kvass."
Yeah,
And so I go over there and I start talking about it, and she goes, "There are 9 billion probiotics per ounce."
Oh my god.
And I was just like, you could have said any number. You could have said there are 4 probiotics in every ounce. And I would have been like, dang, that's a lot. Any number over than 1 was so impressive to me.
Oh my
The fact that she said 9 million just made me like a little scared.
Oh my god.
And then I buy a bottle and she goes, "Have you had this before?" I'm like, "No." And she goes, "Oh, maybe only start by drinking a couple sips."
Yeah.
And I was like, what's going to happen to me?
Oh, your GI tract will just go.
Yeah. And so I drank the whole bottle and then had a cold brew.
No, you didn't.
I sure did.
Oh my gosh, did you poop your pants?
No, I just woke up the next morning feeling great. Feeling fresh.
It was the 9 million probiotics.
All
Just
9
saying,
million.
Hi, how are ya? That's so
Just
silly.
checking up.
Oh my gosh, that's so silly.
All right, Nicole, let's just a brief recap because I
Okay.
need to hear you say it one more time. Is cereal soup?
Josh, cereal? Can't say it.
Say it.
Josh, cereal is soup.
Cereal is soup. I agree. It's almost upsetting and unfortunate that it is, but there's no
Yeah.
way around it.
I hate the
Cereal
fact
is
that
soup.
it is.
Dogs are horses. There's no rules anymore. Dogs are just tiny, tiny horses. All right. If you want to weigh in on whether or not cereal is soup, drop a comment down below and make sure to share the podcast with your opinionated friends.
And remember, you can only listen to our next segment, Opinions Are Like Casseroles, in the audio-only version, available wherever you get your podcasts.
Join us next week when we discuss, is lab-grown meat vegan?
Oh,
God.
touchy. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Mythical got the Crystal Wash treatment. Now it's GMM's turn. Get the GMM Crystal Wash tea at mythical.com.